What's up everyone, I'm Valeri and today we're going to create this very cool transition between two scenes, which the first one is kind of a 2D scene and we're going to dive into a 3D scene, which is the galaxy. And I created this animation using this graphic asset that I downloaded from FreePic. I will put the link for this asset in the descriptions, and you can play around with it and create your scene as you like. I created my scene for the tutorial. A very important thing for you to remember, just make sure you separate all the layers, every object in different layer, so we can play around with it with After Effects. Alright, and now let's dive into After Effects and start animating. So the first thing, I'm going to import this file into After Effects. So let's do it real quick. And now I'll double click on it to enter this pre-comp, and for now I'm going to turn off the motion blur function. We're going to use this later, but for now I'll turn this off. And the first thing you need to do is to separate the layers in the two main scenes, which the first one is going to be with the logo and the shape and the button. We can leave them right here, and the second scene will be all the layers that belongs to the galaxy, which is all these layers. So I'll select all of them and right click and click on pre-compose. Let's call this scene 2 and make sure both are selected and hit OK. And for this comp we can change the name to scene 1. Great. Yeah, we can turn this off for now, and let's deal with the first scene. So the first thing that needs to happen here is the click on the button, and let's create it. Select this layer, press S, make sure you're at the beginning of the timeline, and create the first keyframe here. Move 15 frames forward and create another keyframe with the same value. And now let's move to the middle of these keyframes, and let's scale it to 70. Great. Now let's select the keyframes, hold down the Alt key on a Mac, it's Option key, and double click on the one of the keyframes, and let's change the velocity to 85. Great. Let's see what we got. Awesome. And now let's head over the frame number 15, and the first thing we want to do is to create a flying animation of the logo or of the layer that need to be here towards the camera. And to do it we need to convert this layer to a 3D layer. If you don't see this icon, click here. Great, so let's convert this layer, and from this point in time let's press P and create the first keyframe. Now let's move 2 seconds forward. We can just go here and change the seconds here to 2 and press enter. And now let's move the Z-axis while holding the shift key. It's going to move it in the larger increments. And also let's bring it down while holding the shift key as well here, and continue moving it. We can move it to the right a little bit, and yeah, that's enough. So right now it's looking great, and the next thing we want to do is to improve the look, of course, of the layer, and we can do it using the collapse function found here. Great. Now let's select these layers and press F9. On the Mac you need to hold the Fn key and then press F9. Great, to create some nice ease in, ease out animation. Great, it looks nice. Moving on to the next thing, which is the shape, and this is going to be our main object that going to open the second scene. All right, so first we need to convert this layer to a shape layer so we can animate its path. We can delete the original layer. Now let's press enter and adjust the name, and now as you can see we got some weird path here, and this is not a problem. Let's just open this layer and we can delete the merge paths, and we can delete, I think, this one. Yeah, this is a group that we don't need here, so delete it. And now we have this layer that we can animate its path. So let's open its path, and from this point in time let's create a first keyframe for the path. And now let's make this animation to last longer than the text layer, than the logo layer, for 2 seconds more. So if the logo layer ends at second number 2, that this one should end at 4 seconds and 15 frames. And to animate this, the path, let's make sure we're selecting the path, and now just select those points and drag them to the right while holding the shift key. The same goes for here, for these points, and for the down points as well, and the upper points. Let's drag it here. Let's zoom out a little bit. We can adjust it a little like that. Great, so now we have this nice animation, and we can also easy ease those keyframes and see how that looks. It looks nice, but we can enhance the motion, I think, even more. So let's hold down the Alt key and double click on it to change the velocity to 85%. Let's see it one more time. Yeah, this looks better. And we can continue to the second scene, which is very easy to do, and this is the main idea behind this tutorial. So for first we need to place the second scene above the shape, and now all we need to do is we need to click here and set this layer to be the alpha layer of this shape. And now we're going to see the space, the second scene, only in the boundaries of the shape, but we don't want to see the second scene yet. So for this we can turn on the shape layer, and we can select the second scene, press T, and bring down the opacity to 0. And yeah, activate the opacity only from frame 15, which is after the pressing of the button. So let's click to create the first keyframe, and let's say it's going to reveal for 2 seconds, in 2 seconds. And now we can bring up the opacity to 100%. We can easy ease those keyframes, and let's see what we got. Great. So this is basically the trick to create a very nice transition between 2 scenes using a one object from the previous scene. And now we can create a nice animation inside this pre-comp, and we will do some parallax animation. So let's create a new camera, a one-node camera, 35mm, and press OK. And now all we need to do is to convert all these layers to a 3D layers. And by the way, make sure you in the classic 3D and not these ones. And now let's work with two views, which this view, let's click on it and set it to see it from the top. Great. So here is the camera, and the layers are here in the middle, in the center. And now we can just play around with it and see how it looks. So for the planet, I will leave it here in the center, but I'll press S and I'll scale it down to, I think, 70. Yeah, that's okay. And now I will move the background layer, which is the blue one. Let's place it here. Later, in a minute, we're going to play around with the scaling of this layer, but for now let's just arrange the layers. And the smoke layer we can place somewhere around here. Yeah, let's click here and here to see what we're doing. And now let's continue playing around with the stars. So let's say we want to place this stars here and this one's here. This is not a problem. Let's now select this layer and press Ctrl D or Command D to duplicate it, and let's place it here, somewhere here. And now let's select let's zoom in to see. I want the circles. Yeah, this one. Let's duplicate this one and place it here. And great. And now if we will move the camera, let's press P and move the z-axis, we're getting a parallax effect. I'll press Ctrl Z. Yeah, now we need to play around with the scaling of this layer, so let's press S and let's scale it to 300. It's okay. And for the smoke, let's scale it to 50. For the planet, I will leave it as it is. It's okay. And for the stars, these ones, we can scale them up a little bit. Let's say 200. And the circle stars, oh no, this is the stars that in the front of the camera. So these ones we need actually to scale down because they are very close to the camera. Let's scale them down to 40. And so to arrange them a little in the randomized way, we can right click on this layer and go to transform and reflect it and flip it horizontally like this. And let's see what this one. Yeah, this is the stars layer, and behind the circle ones we can actually scale them up a little bit like this. Let's say 150. And for this one, the duplicates that in front of the camera, we can scale them down like this. And the same here, let's set it to 80. And the same here, we can right click and this time let's flip it vertical like this. Yeah, and now if we're moving the camera, we will get a nice parallax effect. Let's animate this right now. We can close all the layers, and now let's create an animation from the beginning of the timeline, and then we will adjust the timing with the first scene. So for now, let's say we want to start this animation let's say from here, you know, from like we're going to create a zoom in animation, and let's say it's going to last for 4 seconds, and let's like zoom in like this, and let's go to second number 8 and continue moving the camera a little bit like this. Yeah, great. And now let's convert this keyframes to easy ease. All right, and let's see how it looks. so it looks fine. But I think we can enhance this with the Alt and double click. Let's set it to 85% for the velocity. Yeah, it looks much better. But here we're going to have a small pause, and I don't want this pause. I don't want this pause to happen. So first we need to convert this keyframe to a regular one. So let's hold down the Control key or Command on Mac and click on this one. And now let's deal with this keyframe. So let's go to the speed graph editor and double click on the keyframes and set them to be a continuous ones. And now we need to bring this layer up a little bit. We can zoom in. Yeah, the goal here is to create a straight line here. Alright, it's going to get rid of this pause. Great, now we don't have this pause. And now let's see how it looks with the first scene. Alright, I think the timing is okay and we don't need to change it. And now all we need to do is just convert all these layers to a sharp layers with the collapse function, and it's going to render much slower, but the quality will be better. And now let's just create a background. Right click, go to new and create a new solid, and let's make this some kind of darker white color. Make sure it's a comp size and name it BG. Okay, and place it here. Alright, I think it looks great. And now for the final touch, let's enter the second scene and we can go back to work with one view and create a new adjustment layer here above all the layers, and go to effects and presets and search for a CC lens effect. Add this effect on this adjustment layer. Let's change the name to CC lens. Right, and yeah, just play around with it. Set it, I think, to 250. It's okay. It's going to distort the edges of the scene. You see, like this. And yeah, it's going to look much more interesting. Let's see how it looks. Alright, I think it looks great. And now let's add some more interesting motion to this scene with rotating the planet. Let's rotate it, press R and rotate it in the Z-axis, but with no keyframes. We will use an expression for this. So let's hold down the Alt key or the Option key on Mac and click on the stopwatch. And now let's use the time expression and let's rotate it to 5 points per second. Let's see how it looks. No, I think it can be rotated much faster, so scale the number here. Great. And now let's do the same with I don't know, with the stars in the front. Not these ones, not these ones, these ones. We can place them here. No, actually these ones. So let's press R and rotate them as well, but this time we will use we will rotate them much slower, like this. Great. And let's rotate the the layers in the back. There's stars in the back. You can actually use the two views to see, yeah, this one's, but to the other direction. So let's write down a time asterisk -5 as well. Oh, and click here to finish the action. The circle ones is rotating as well. Alright, and the last thing we can do is to click here and set this layer to be with a motion blur. So if you don't see the motion blur after you activate it here, make sure you're clicking here as well. And if you see a different motion blur than mine, so press Ctrl or Command K to enter the composition settings, go to advanced and set the settings here of the motion blur like mine and click OK. Yeah, and with this we're finished the tutorial, and let's see how it looks. Great, I love it, and I hope you enjoyed this one, guys, and I see you in the next one.